Welcome, everyone. We're here today to honor all the students, professionals, businessmen, rabbis, moms and dads, who all individually said, I want to complete Tanakh. I personally struggled growing up, only reaching several pirakim into Yeshayahu before throwing up my hands. How was I going to complete Tanakh was a question that troubled me. So you all know today, this all started out as a selfish quest to create a platform where I can fulfill a dream. So when one day, Rabbi Albert Seton said he'd be willing to teach over Yeshayahu on audio, and Rabbi Seton, Ovadia Seton, and Josh Seton each volunteered respectively to teach over Yirmiyahu, Yehezkel, and Terei Asar, I said we have to make this a reality. And today, 29 teachers and 744 pirakim later, we stand in celebration. So much of my personal and national identity has developed from this study. And I distinctively remember my experience. Reading our prophetic history, entering Eretz Yisrael for the first time with Yoshua, seeing Bnei Yisrael's cycle of leaving God and returning throughout the various Shoftim, watching a shepherd grow to become the Davidic dynasty in Sefer Shemuel, studying the architecture of the Beit HaMikdash that Shlomo built, and watching a kingdom rise to a peak only to fall to a revolution. In the later prophets, hearing the consoling prophecies of Yeshayahu, the personal and national torture that Yirmiyahu experienced, and the shocking visions of Yehezkel, receiving powerful messages of Teshuvah, social justice, and much more throughout the 12 minor prophets. And then in Ketuvim, seeing Divrei Yamim from Ezra Sofer's perspective, singing songs of prayer, praise, and hope in Tehillim, discovering a moral code in Mishleh, and challenging our faith with Iyov. In the 5 Megillot, forging a relationship of love with God in Shir HaShirim, performing selfless acts of Hesed with Ruth, lamenting with Yirmiyahu and Necha, questioning the very nature of our existence and disheartening reality in Kohelet, and miraculously being spared as a nation in Persia in Esther. And towards the very end, standing in the highest political courts with Daniel, yet after experiencing this destruction and exile, returning back to Zion, where we came from, with Ezra and Nehemiah. It doesn't end. I have a new national appreciation of who I belong to, and just as important, a fresh perspective of who I am. One particular touching moment was re-experiencing the return to Zion with Ezra. Imagine, after the utter destruction of Yehuda, the Beit HaMikdash burned to ashes, 52 years in exile, Ezra leads a small group of 42,000 Jews back to Israel. They struggle daily with their neighbors, and only 19 years later would they reunify Jerusalem. Sound familiar? 19 years from when they arrive until Jerusalem is rebuilt. It's like reading modern history. It's amazing. Well, as they laid down the final stones of the Beit HaMikdash, the Kohanim rose and blew their trumpets, the Leviim on their cymbals, all to praise God. V'ya'anu behallel uvhodot l'Adonai ki tov ki le'olam chasdo al Yisrael. V'chol ha'am heri'u te'ura gedola behallel Adonai al husad bet Adonai. The entire nation shouted in joy over the reestablishment of the temple. But ורבים מהכהנים והלוויים וראשי האבות הזקנים אשר ראו את הבית הראשון ביוסדו, זה הבית בעיניהם בוכים בקול גדול. ורבים בתרועה בשמחה להרים קול. Many of the elders who saw the first temple were crying. Why? The temple was finally rebuilt. Why were they crying? If this was a more intimate setting, I'd open up the floor to hear your suggestions. And some of you would suggest that they were crying out of happiness. Others would suggest that they were saddened by the building's lack of grandeur compared to the first. The first was magnificent, while the second wasn't. Or maybe they were crying over the very few people that decided to return back to Zion with them. Whatever it may be, I I believe that the text deliberately chose not to elaborate why they were crying. Instead, it painted a picture of an emotional outpour. Be it extreme happiness or be it streaming tears, we don't know why they were crying, but they are contrasted to stand out from the rest of the crowd. V'rabim, and many were crying. V'rabim, and many were shouting with joy. Even so, they all stood together, to the point where they weren't able to distinguish between the sound. That's how I feel today. I imagine the Hachamim and elders of our community sitting here, in front of me in the crowd, as we, the younger generation, are overwhelmed with joy over this amazing accomplishment. I envision my ancestors sitting in front of me with tears in their eyes, leaving me to wonder, are they tears of happiness? Or are they tears that they remember the generations who truly cherished Tanakh, who knew the Pesukim by heart, and who used it as a blueprint to their life? I'll never know. But today, I can and will commit myself to starting once again from the beginning, to further my study of the most sacred text, and strive to one day reach the level of our ancestors. And maybe then, we will merit in rejoicing in rebuilding of the Beit HaMikdash b'mehera b'yameinu. Amen.